Hello, welcome to Bob's Dungeon. My name's Bob. I'll be your host. I've dreaded doing this video for a while now, but I gotta get it done sometime. So let's just jump right into it. In this video, we're going to talk about Vampire the Masquerade, First Edition. This book has 263 pages and a copyright of 1991. It was published by White Wolf Games. All the artwork in this book is in black and white. Most of the art goes together in a kind of story throughout the book that tells the life of a certain vampire from their creation as a vampire to their death and all the things in between. It also has a full page pictures at the beginning of each chapter to represent each clan and stuff, and then individual clan pictures and the descriptions of the clans. So let's go ahead and look at that artwork. This is the first picture we see when we open the book. All of the pictures in this book are in black and white, with a full page picture at the beginning of each and every chapter. Most of the pictures in this book go together to form a story told throughout the book. The story focuses on a vampire from its time of creation to its end. They didn't do this in any of the other editions, which is really sad. I rather liked this aspect. And here's another Nosferatu for you, because you can never have too many Nosferatus hanging around. To play this game, what you're going to need is a copy of the core rulebook and as many 10-sided dice as you can get your hands on. To make a character in this game, the first thing you got to do is pick a nature and a demeanor. Both of these are picked from an archetypes table in this book, and your nature is pretty much who you are on the inside, what you're really like. Your demeanor is how you present yourself to other people. They can both be the same thing, which means you are who you are, or they can be completely different, so you can hide who you really are. After that, you pick a clan. There are 7 clans in this book. 8 if you count the clanless, known as Katif. There are a lot more clans, but those are the only ones covered in this book. The others were covered in supplement books. But the clans themselves, they are the Bruja, the Gangrel, the Malkavian, the Nosferatu, the Toreador, the Tremere, the Ventru, and the clanless ones known as Katif. Your character also starts at a certain generation, usually 13. Your generation is how many steps away you are away from the vampire's progenitor, the first vampire, Cain. And this can be augmented in a couple of ways, and I'll explain that in a bit. After that, you fill out your character's attributes. There are 9 attributes total, broken up into 3 groups of 3. Each attribute starts off with 1 free dot in them. Dot represents how many dice you roll when a check is called for that attribute. You augment them with some dice you're given, a character creation, and you prioritize them. There are your physical attributes, which consist of strength, dexterity, and stamina. There are your social attributes, which consist of charisma, manipulation, and appearance. And then there are your mental attributes, which consist of perception, intelligence, and wits. When you prioritize them, your first priority, your first block of 3, get 7 dots to split up amongst them, not including the free dot in each one. Your second priority gets 5 dots to add to them, and your least prioritized one gets 3 additional dots. When you're done with your attributes, you figure out your abilities. Your abilities is also broken up into 3 categories. There are your talents, which are things that come naturally to you, your skills, which are things you have trained to do, and your knowledges, which are things like your book smarts. And with these, you prioritize them as well. Your most important one will give you 3 dots to split up amongst them all. Your next most important one will get 9 dots, and your least will get 5. You do not get any free dots in any of these, so if you don't put any dots in one, you don't have that ability. You're going to try it with just an attribute roll, but it's harder. After that, you pick your disciplines. Each clan in this book has 3 core disciplines that clan is known for. Other clans can know those disciplines, but the clans specialize in those 3. And you get 3 dots to split up amongst those. And you can split them up any way you want. When you're done with your disciplines, you pick backgrounds. Backgrounds are the things to help round out your character, like let you know how much money you have, how big or well hidden your haven is. And there's also one called generation. For each dot you put in generation, you lower your starting generation. So if you have 3 dots in the generation background, you start off at 10th generation instead of 13th. When you're done with that, you pick your virtues. There are 3 virtues in this game. Each one of them, like the attributes, start with 1 free dot in them. You get a number of additional dots to split up amongst them, however you wish. What these are used for is when your character needs to make a roll to keep out of frenzy. Depending on what type of frenzy it is, will determine what virtue he has to roll. And they keep you from becoming more of a monster. Your humanity in this game is what pretty much keeps you as human. It's figured out by adding your conscience and your self-control. And as your humanity drops, you become more monstrous, and the more vile acts you can get away with. The higher your humanity, the more often you need to make humanity checks due to the fact that you're still really a good person and it hurts to do bad things. Your willpower in this game is used for a number of different things. You can use it to augment rolls or use special abilities and stuff. And it's equal at character creation to your starting courage. When you get all this stuff in place, you're allotted 15 freebie points to augment any of the attributes, abilities, disciplines, backgrounds, whatever. And each one costs a different number of points. And you can buy more disciplines that aren't clan disciplines with your freebie points, or make your clan disciplines that you have even more powerful, however you wish to start your character. The final thing you do for character generation is you roll a 10-sided die to determine your starting blood pool. Your blood pool is how many points of blood you have in your system, how much blood you have. When you start running out of blood, you have to replenish it by feeding off of people and getting more blood points. Blood points are used to fuel your disciplines and augment certain rolls and stuff. And they're only replenishable by drinking blood. Now, you can only have 10 blood points in your body at a certain point in time. You can only spend 1 per round. But if you're of a lower generation, if your generation becomes low enough, you can hold more blood points in your body and you spend more per round. So that's where generation becomes kind of important. Character creation in this game is really simple, really fast and easy. You can make up a character in this game in just a few minutes. The problem I have with it is after time went by and they came out with newer editions and more supplements for this game, you were allowed a lot more options, which is good, But at the same time, there are a lot of people that I've played with that use this to take hours to make up characters, and it just really unnerves me. Because they find these things. I'm not going to go into depth about it. It just was really annoying. I think you should be able to play by making up a character in just a couple of minutes and get going. But that's just me. Pet peeve. The book has a lot of information for you to get your game going. It talks about the different factions in Vampire Society, such as the Camarilla. Your starting vampire is considered part of the Camarilla. And the Camarilla has run-ins with a group known as the Sabbat, which are presented as the protagonists in this game. There's not much information on the Sabbat in this game. They release more information later on. And there are other groups that are out there, but the book really doesn't say much about those at all. And doesn't say much about the Sabbat as well, just a couple of paragraphs. Mostly focuses on Camarilla vampires. The dice you use in this game are all 10-sided, and the way it works is when it comes time to make a check, you usually add a attribute and ability together. And however many dots is the total with those is how many dice you roll. So in combat, if you were going to use a baseball bat to hit somebody, you would roll your strength plus your melee combat skill, and you add those dots together, and that gives you how many dice you roll. You roll that number of dice, and the standard difficulty is 6, but the difficulty can be anything from 2 to 10, depending on how your game master wishes to call it. For each success you get on the dice in combat, that indicates an automatic point of damage. Then you roll damage. Each weapon that you can use has a number of dice for its damage code. You roll those dice, and whatever they roll as successes are added to your automatic damage that you've done through your success. But here's the thing. When you roll the dice, a 10 is always a success. A 1 is a botch. For every 1 you roll on a die, it eliminates a success. So on your damage roll, if you got 1s left over, they remove the automatic damage you've already done. So you can hit and do absolutely no damage whatsoever, which is really annoying. But if it's a non-combat situation and you roll botches, you got 1s left over, something bad happens, and the Game Master determines what that is. And that's pretty much all there is to it. The book has some information on lupines, the werewolves, not much. You're better served if you're going to have werewolves in your game to get the werewolf book from In the World of Darkness lines. Mages, same thing. It's got stuff in here on humans and other protagonists. They've got a already made up campaign storyline for you to run if you want. It's set in Gary, Indiana. There's a character sheet in the back of the book that you can photocopy and use. And like I said, the book has everything you need to start a game. Other pet peeves I have is the wound system. Everybody gets 7 wounds. The wounds never change. 12-year-olds, 80-year-olds, bodybuilders, college nerds, everybody has 7 wounds. This was fixed when they released the Player's Guide and in later editions with the addition of merits and flaws. There is a merit called huge size and a flaw called small size, which either adds or subtracts a wound to your wounds because of your size. And I mean, I think there should be some variation in the wounds depending on how your character's built. Maybe that's just me. Or maybe I'm being too critical or picky. I don't know. The other things I have I don't like about this game is I don't like the way the generation is set up. The only way you can lower your generation in this game after you've started is by diablerizing another character. And what that means is you drink all the blood out of another vampire until they're dead and no more. And if they were a lower gen than you, then you drop 1 point in generation, which it results in has resulted in the past a lot of bad things happening in some of my games because of players wanting to increase their power and just taking it out on other players that were anyway. It has everything you need here. It has 6 traditions for vampires to follow. There are kind of rules. You break them, you can have a blood hunt called on you, and bad things can happen to you. They're mostly to keep vampires in line and protect the Masquerade. The Masquerade, which is in the game's title, is what the vampires are doing to hide themselves, pretending to be human, and so forth. And that's really it about really all I can think of to say about this game right now. So that brings me to 3 questions. Would I play a character in this game? No, I wouldn't. I left the old World of Darkness behind me a long time ago, mostly due to other players, and I haven't really looked back much. Would I run this game? Again, no. And again, it was pretty much other players in the game that turned me off to it a lot. We used to play this when this game first came out. We got it, and we played the hell out of it. We played it more than even my favorite game, Star Wars, at the time. And nowadays, I just can't think of running it. But would I recommend this game? Yes, I would. Even though I've moved away from this game, there's a lot to be done in this game. A lot of adventure to be had. A lot of stories to be told. And I would recommend it. You should check it out. I probably won't anymore. I might later down the road, but I haven't in years. But anyway, that was my look at Vampire the Masquerade, first edition. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you'll join me next time where we'll talk about something else. Bye.